Eviller television channel, broadcasting under the banner of the Baby Angel Geronimo editions. This is part B on Sunday, the 1st of October 2023. So, Baby Angel Geronimo is a witness to the linguistic stupidity as well as the moral backwardness and stupidity and criminality. Sunday Times has got three pieces. One is an overdressed and overhyped and over promoted and overpraised liar called Colin Rooney. There's the investigation on that. Pages 8 and 9. And the last one is the one that has got the bigger typefaces. Bad Enoch, we pronounce Bad Enoch, piles pressure on Sunak to quit ECHR. And the intact Murti, the intact statue, which is the spelling, which is the translation of Akkhata Murti, is looking at the same complete absolutely inaccessible or inaccessible. There must be a code, there must be some kind of conspiracy on part of Jan Pissoff and the others who apparently write the so called legal pieces to deny the reader as much access to the actual legal issues referred to as they can manage. So, unlike all the known law reports, the private eye, which runs the things about law on this under the section called the back pages, completely intriguing and absolutely in the dark, leaving the reader in the dark, as has been evident in the coverage of Gurpal Vadi, the Sikh ex Metropolitan Policeman. Girbal Vadi's story of being harassed and racistly framed by the Metropolitan Police was first broke by Paul Foot. But even Paul Foot didn't get most of the facts right because he, being a racist, he could not get the facts right because this was a racist issue. And those Metropolitan Police racists who plotted to destroy the career wove layers and layers and layers of lies and lying so that their details could not be fully unearthed. And Paul, the racist Foot, never, ever welcomed or invited ordinary reader participation in enhancing the evidential basis for stories like the story concerning Gurpal Vadi. What is the latest Gurpal Vadi story? Gurpal Vadi is a Sikh, not a Hindu. There is hardly any story in Private Lie that shows the Metropolitan Police targeting any Hindu member of the Metropolitan Police. There are plenty of stories about the London Metropolitan Police genetically being predisposed to tracking and targeting and demonizing Muslim employees in the Metropolitan Police. There is hardly any evidence of their doing the same thing or wanting to do the same thing about any Hindu police. But Gurpal Vadi is a Sikh, not a Hindu. And Vadi, let's check how old he is. He must be quite old now. Well, Vadi is shown as being born in 1958. And he was a Metropolitan policeman from 1982 onwards. And he is described in the Wikipedia entry, which I'm reading, as the first from Asian descent. Well, the sentence is confusing. From Hounslow, he is not the first officer from Asian descent from Hounslow, you morons. Asian descent, full stop. To join the police force, Vardy retired from the Metropolitan Police in 2012, following what he described as institutional racism. Well, he shouldn't have described that as that. He should have described it as racism within the police force. Vardy grew up in Southall, London. His education started with the busing out program, during which immigrant ethnic minority children were dispersed across schools in the hope that would that it would help them integrate the Wikipedia racist liars. After completing full-time education, Bardi worked as Beecham Products, Glasgow Smith Kline, based in Hounslow. In 1982, Gurpal Bardi joined the Metropolitan Police as the first officer of Asian descent, and they still retained that stupid, absolutely false sentence. From Hounslow to join the police force, Bardi worked both in active uniform service and within the criminal investigation department, plainclothes detectives. During his 30-year service, he was very vocal in challenging the mistreatment of ethnic minority communities. By his retirement in 2012, Vardy was recognized for 30 years of exemplary performance within the Metropolitan Police. In 1998, while serving on the neighboring Ealing Division, he was arrested and accused of sending race hate mail to his colleagues. Vardy was one of the 13 black and Asian officers who received a printed image of a black man accompanied by the message "Not wanted. Keep the police force white, so leave now or else." Scotland Yard claimed that Mr. Vardy himself had sent the email. Sparked by anger at being turned down for promotion, he was dismissed from the police in 2000. The subsequent Employment Tribunal case exonerated Vardy and led to the Metropolitan Police Authority Vardy Inquiry Report, published in 2002. Vardy was issued with a full written apology by the Commissioner Sir Mark John Stevens before returning to work in 2002. An investigation by Peter Marshall, journalist, into Vardy's wrongful dismissal was awarded the RIMA Race in the Media Award. Vardy retired from the Metropolitan Police in 2012, following what he described as institutional racism and discrimination within the police force. In 2012, Vardy carried the Olympic torch from Richmond to Hounslow on Kew Bridge as part of the 2012 Summer Olympics torch relay. Vardy was elected as a local councillor for the London Borough of Hounslow between May 2014 and May 2018, representing Labour for the majority of his time. He trained to become a tutor for adult education and worked with vulnerable people. He also worked as a youth justice panel member. In 2014, Vardy was accused of indecent assault on 7th of November 1986. The accuser told the police that Mr. Vardy had attacked him and shoved a retractable police baton up his backside in the back of a prison van. The such batons were not in use in Britain at the time of the alleged attack. In July 2015, Gurpal, well, they've changed the name from Vardy to Gurpal, was arrested was acquitted at Southwark Crown Court of any wrongdoing. During the trial, Mr. Vardy accused the Met of bringing the criminal case against him as part of a 17-year campaign to hound him out of the force. The case of Gurpal Vardy was subsequently picked up by Peter Bottomley in 1998, notable as previously Member of Parliament and advocate at the time of the murder of Stephen Lawrence. Bottomley requested that the Home Secretary, at that point Theresa May, review the case. In March 2018, Bottomley submitted an early day motion calling for a parliamentary debate on the matter. On 28th of March, Sir Peter is successfully requested to meet with the Prime Minister Theresa May to discuss the matter and how to eradicate institutionalized racism from such important establishments as the Metropolitan Police. Vardy authored the book Behind the Blue. I'll read that again. Vardy authored the book Behind the Blue Line, published in 2018 by Biteback, detailing Vardy's fight against racism and discrimination in the Metropolitan Police. I've now read almost all the copy, the entry in there. Now, Vardy is the one that has been, if you like, given the treatment by Biteback. Biteback is the publishing operation run by the racist Ian Dale. Now, Ian Dale would not do the same thing for a Muslim. There have been dozens of Muslims in the Metropolitan Police who have been demonized and defamed and discriminated against. So, the context I've just read. Now, in the piece that Bad Enoch features in, let's check the ECHR. So the entry on Wikipedia about the ECHR reads European Convention on Human Rights. And it says within brackets, formally, the Convention for the Protection of Human Rights and Fundamental Freedoms is an international convention to protect human rights and political freedoms in Europe. Drafted in 1950 by the then newly formed Council of Europe, the convention entered into force on 3rd September 1953. All Council of Europe member states are party to the convention, and new members are expected to ratify the convention at the earliest opportunity. The convention established the European Court of Human Rights, generally referred to by the initial ECTHR. Any person who feels their rights have been violated under the convention by a state party can take a case to the court. Judgments finding binding on the states concerned, and they are obliged to execute the findings. The Committee of Ministers of the Council of Europe monitors the execution of judgments, particularly to ensure payments awarded by the court approximately compensate applicants the damage they have sustained. The convention has 11 protocols which amend the convention framework. The convention has had a significant influence on the law in Council of Europe member countries and is widely considered the most effective international treaty for human rights protection. So it was signed in Rome, Italy on 4th of November 1950, and it has been effective since 3rd of September 1953. Parties are 46 Council of Europe member states. English and French are the languages. Article 1 simply binds the signatories parties to secure the rights under the other articles of the convention within their jurisdiction. In exceptional cases, jurisdiction may not be confined to contracting states' own national territory. The obligation to secure convention rights then also extends to foreign territories, such as occupied land in which the state exercises effective control. In Loizidu versus Turkey, the European Court of Human Rights ruled that jurisdiction of member states to the convention extended to areas under the state's effective control as a result of military action. Article 2 protects the right of every person on to their life. The right to life extends only to human beings, not to animals or to legal persons such as corporations. In Evans versus the United Kingdom, the court ruled that the question of whether the right to life extends to a human embryo fell within the state's margin of appreciation. In VO versus France, the court declined to extend the right to life to an unborn child while stating that it is neither desirable nor even possible, as matters stand, to answer in the abstract the question whether the unborn child is a person, purpose of Article 2 of the Convention. The court has ruled that states have three main duties under Article 2: a duty to refrain from unlawful killing, a duty to investigate suspicious deaths, and in certain circumstances, a positive duty to prevent foreseeable loss of life. The first paragraph of the article contains an exception for lawful executions, which, although this exception has largely been suspended by Protocol 6 and 13, Protocol 6 prohibits the imposition of the death penalty in peacetime, while Protocol 13 extends the prohibition to all circumstances. For more on Protocol 6 and 13, see below. The second paragraph of Article 2 provides that death resulting from defending oneself or others, arresting a suspect or fugitive, or suppressing riots or insurrections will not contravene the article when the use of force involved is no more than absolutely necessary. Signatory states to the convention can only derogate from the rights contained in Article 2 for deaths which result from lawful acts of war. The European Court of Human Rights did not rule upon the right to life until 1995, when the McCann and others versus the United Kingdom ruled that the exception contained in the second paragraph does not constitute situations when it is permitted to kill, but situations where it is permitted to use force which might result in the deprivation of life. Article 3 Torture. Article 3 prohibits torture and inhuman or degradation. I'll read that again. Article 3 prohibits torture and inhuman or degrading treatment or punishment. There are no exceptions or limitations to this right. This provision usually applies, apart from torture, to cases of severe police violence and poor conditions in detention. The court has emphasized the fundamental nature of Article 3 in holding that the provision is made in absolute terms, irrespective of the victim's conduct. The court has also held that states cannot deport or extradite individuals who might be subjected to torture, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment in the recipient. Now, say, bad Enoch is making things worse than Enoch Powell. And everything that the ECHR contains, including the bits that I have read now, is essential safeguard, basic essential safeguard for the people fleeing torture and violence and inhuman treatment in the country is concerned. And she wants to reverse it. Now, there is absolutely no way that bad Enoch or SUNK Sunak can affect the ECHR. They may stage, they prance on the platform created by the conservative morons within the United Kingdom and have a go from time to time at ECHR and the Human Rights Court. But that's it, that's the maximum they can do. The issue is that is not unpredictable, that is what they are predicted to do. The issue is who are the other people in the political spectrum in the United Kingdom that are aware of this kind of prancing and are maintaining silence. The Labour Party, even before the political murderer of the Labour Party, Keir Starmer, took over after ousting Jeremy Corbyn in the coup, the Labour Party didn't really, as a party, make any significant contribution towards human rights. For example, Corbyn, as I said about the Palestinians, because I witnessed Corbyn about 3 times at gatherings, including gatherings held in the York Hall in Cambridge Heath Road near Bethnal Green Tube Station in Tower Hamlets, where Jeremy Corbyn, before he became the leader of the Labour Party, Jeremy Corbyn addressed mainly racist WP wankers gathered in the York Hall. And nothing that Corbyn said made any sense. That is to say, Corbyn wasn't talking about what was going on internationally in the context of the violations of human rights. And Corbyn never mentioned one single United Nations kind of decision concerning the Palestinians, nor indeed the rights of the Muslim population anywhere else in the world. And why do I say rights of the Muslim population? Because as happened in 2017, 16 and 17 in Burma, Muslims were targeted specifically with a plot to genocide, commit genocide, which happened. And at the time, the civilian head of the regime was, of course, Aung San Suu Kyi. And she justified the massacre of the Muslims of Rohingya by denying it happened. And she denied the evidence that were independently collected by people, including former Secretary General of the United Nations, Kofi Annan. Now, Kofi Annan himself is a mental slave. So, if he was prepared to accept that Muslims were attacked by genocide and mass murder and mass rape, then it goes without saying that this did happen. And there were other independent sources that testified that this happened. Now, there in the Fleet Street papers about any of these, nothing about what Boris Johnson did to trap, to frame Nazanin Ghaffri within of the narrative being promoted by the Iranian regime. So this thing, Bad Enoch, piles pressure on Sunak to quit ECR. ECHR is stupid, ignorant, and idiotic on 10, 12, 20 levels. How stupid is the Sunday Times? And I can't see any follow up pieces about the rapist, evil one. Russell Brand, I can't see any. If there is some item hidden somewhere on the back pages, I cannot say at this stage, but I haven't seen any. And there is an apology of denial that the sycamore tree that was murdered near the Hadrian Wall has not been murdered by a man that has been suspected as being the murderer. How can how can they do it? Okay, so and then there is this piece continuing the so-called bogus kind of dispute within the conservatives about the HS2. Again, this piece is ignorant, is stupid. So let's see what this is being pictured. Page 2. So it's actually red deer rutting season. A black woman is running past a deer. And without reading the caption, it looks like the woman being related to the deer, but she's not. She's doing just a run. And it is about the rutting season, and the runners in the Richmond Park in London being warned to be wary of the excitable state in which deer in rutting season enter, become, and may constitute a threat, physical threat. So HS2, Sunak 700 million on the buses as HS2 falters. The Prime Minister plans to reverse cuts to the local transport service as he seeks to soften the railway blow. Ministers see bus services as a political dividing line. Well, bus services, of course, are significant because, quite apart from the fact that environmentally using the bus service is much preferable than using the car. But bus services are in decline because of lack of repair, lack of maintenance, and lack of care in London. In the case of London, which has got the largest number of buses running anywhere in the United Kingdom or probably in Europe, the buses are in decline and they're not being brought to scratch. Many of the buses break down every day. Quite apart from that, some passengers on buses behave absolutely idiotically. Today, in East London, one was asked by the driver that the next stop was closed. And the driver tried his best several times to point at the notice saying that the bus stop was closed. And yet this man stood near the driver's place, entrance to the bus, looking desperately for his transport card or whatever pass, and eventually found it and eventually scanned it. After the driver had told him that would be illegal, the driver was not allowed to accept fare at a stop where it was closed. So that is one. The other one is a man rushed into the bus asking for the underground station that the bus has passed. Now, the bus would go further from the underground station that the man wanted to go in. So, how is it that he missed the underground station and ran after the bus and ran until the bus stopped and got into the bus and asked that he wanted to go to the station? Another passenger in the same journey, not in the same bus, accused the driver of the bus that had gone past, and she got off the bus, and she told others that she wanted to get off at the bus stop that the bus didn't stop at, forgetting the fact that that bus stop was closed. So this is just, these three things happened within half an hour today, and I'm not adding to the ordinary stupidity and incidents of idiocy exhibited by bus drivers every day. So Sunak, 700 million on buses as HS falters is not likely to be a very enlightening piece there at all. Now, here's the piece about this sycamore tree. There is a quotation: "My father in law can't be the tree fella. He's got leaky heart vibes." How do human beings behave in such an evil way? Now, here is a two-page spread for this evil bad Enoch. And there are three bullet point headings. On Liz Truss, she says, "Not fair to blame all our ooze on Liz." But she's quite happy to blame all the UK's ooze on the ECHR. On net zero, going bankrupt won't achieve it. On HS2, no business leader has complained to me. Now, why would a business leader complain to her? Business leaders in the United Kingdom are not known for social conscience, let alone for being democratic representations of the communities, nor being advocates of the environment. So, what is this fucking cunt about? Now, Tim Shipman says the Tory women lining up to be leader of the Conservative Party and why Liz Truss may be queen maker. Well, Liz Truss may not be just queen maker. She may be the queen herself. She may want to be the leader again herself. So these pieces, the two-page piece on the Sunday Times about Bad Enoch, is another idiotic piece. It is not about society. It's not about community. It's not about people. Not about the delivery of the services by the various forms of the state in the United Kingdom. Most certainly not anything to do with the corrupt judicial bureaucracy, which is part of the official prostitute den used by the corrupt state to rubber stamp criminal narratives and agendas. For example, as they did in putting on the record, repeatedly putting on the record the lie that baby angel Geronimo was infected. Baby angel Geronimo was not infected ever. Baby angel Geronimo could not have been infected because baby angel Geronimo was never properly tested, truthfully tested, independently tested, honestly tested, scientifically accurately tested. The two tests that the DEFRA criminals carried out were rigged by the DEFRA in order to produce the wrong result. I've said extensively about this in previous editions, so I don't want to repeat this. And so, therefore, there is no, as I said about private lie, there is no accessible reports on the behavior of the judiciary. But even in the Sunday Times, in the case of the rest of the kind of Fleet Street that claims to be accessible, there is no actual accessible fact based account of what the courts actually are in existence to serve. And the truth is that they are in existence to serve the agenda of the state, agenda of injustice, agenda of cruelty and lack of compassion and denial, an agenda to legitimize torture and legitimize the denial of human rights, basic international objective, human rights and fairness. If the individual member of the UK society, each, if each of the individual members a population that has their rights violated by the UK state at any stage, if those people took their cases and claims to the European Court of Human Rights, then the number would be in the thousands, if not more. And the Sunday Times does discuss that at all. It just drops the thing in there, saying that bad Enoch wants Rishi Sunak to leave the ECHR. Now, Rishi Sunak is not fit for anything. In any case, constitutionally and legally, he has no right, he has no equipment, he has no tools, he has no apparatus, he has no entitlements to make any decision that will make any difference whatsoever about whether the United Kingdom remains signed up to the ECHR or not. In any case, the ECHR is not something that is only used by apparent apparent campaigners for justice and apparent campaigners against the agenda typified in the Brexit, for example. Because right wingers like the Daily Mail and the scum have been using the ECHR when it suits them, as has been seen in the case of their defense, the Daily Mail and the scum, their defenses against the court actions taken by Harry Windsor and others, including Elton John. So, what an irresponsible piece of journalism today by the Sunday Times, giving bad Enoch this splash, which is completely empty. The only item that is there that can be read is the piece headed under investigation, headed by investigation, sex worker immigration scandal of the credit card millionaire. And this is the case of the credit card millionaires' criminality. Hamish Ogstone, a philanthropist who met the king, broke trafficking laws to exploit vulnerable women, yet police failed to investigate him when they were approached by an alleged victim. This is an investigation by Kate Tarrant and Gabriel Pogrand. Not in that. So it's a two-page spread worth the read, but obviously it's such a long read that I cannot read in the course of this particular edition. The well, effectively, this was another rapist ring, and the police were warned about it 7 years ago, and they didn't do anything. Is it a surprise? The state doesn't work. And this is the kind of thing that the baby angel Geronimo is witnessing. How is it that Gilda Dando murder is still a mystery unsolved? And there is a piece on the news review headed How the Great Migration Will Reshape Our World. What are they saying? They're still not catching up, are they? Suella Braverman says that uncontrolled movement of people is an existential challenge. But birth rates are plummeting in rich nations, and the West needs workers. Tom Kalber asks what countries will look like in 2050. And it says 50%. The population of Japan is expected to halve by the year 2100. It has thousands of abandoned houses in ghost villages already. 9.7 billion people, the size of the world's population in 27 years, according to forecasts, up 8.1 billion today. So what they're saying is the the population of countries like Japan and the West will decrease significantly, and these countries will collapse without people being born or without people coming from abroad, other countries. And here is another piece by a Sunday Times or a Times writer, Hadley Freeman. She says, hard proof Trump was never a business genius. Of course, he never was anything but a liar and a fantasist. So, how did the entire British establishment, conservatives, surrender to him and backed him? Trump ghosted a bank that lent him more than $400 million. Even a judge noted his slapstick incompetence. Will his fans ever wake up? Now, before Hadley Freeman says that, she must seriously define what being a fan of Trump entails. Because it is in the minds of the alleged fans of Trump that the actual threat resides. What makes them a fan of such an emptiness? such a fantasist, such a liar, such an inciter. And to this day, neither Freeman nor anybody else talking about Trump has actually explained, investigated what is it that the fans carry in there in the space called where usually brains should be. There's a woman who is being described as the Lion Queen, who is mom to two cubs. Amazing, isn't it? Now, how long before they stop being cubs and assume their true role and become absolutely threatening? This is not the right thing to do. People should not be behaving in that way. It's against nature. Now, what Rod Liddell is saying is that get rid of the so-called legacy of John Reed and let BBC staff air their views. Then he celebrates. He celebrates saying, then it will prove exactly how biased they are. Of course, it will show how biased they are. As it how biased you are every time you open your mouth, you fucking lying cunt. Every single person is biased, depending on what you are talking about. So we shall be ending this one at this point, and we shall continue in the next editions whenever we do the next editions. This is about 58 minutes, maybe 59 minutes.